Welcome to Free Your Mind Reviews. This is Chris Johnson with a review of WWE Wrestlemania 36 Part 2. So, of course, Part 2 of Wrestlemania 36 is the second night that we've had for our first ever two-night WrestleMania. And I still think it was a good show, though, of course, not nearly as good. I don't think it was as good or as fun overall as part one. Biggest reason being, I think, actually, even though some of the ending of the matches yesterday, some of them didn't work, but they didn't overwhelm the positives. There's just certain decisions tonight that don't really affect my heart as much. But yet the one big positive of tonight is the exact same as last night's. We'll get to that in a second. Let's run down the show. The first match was arguably the best wrestling match of the two nights. Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte. A fantastically worked match. Great story being told. But unfortunately, just like most Charlotte Flair big matches, the ending is awful because she won. Because Charlotte Flair won. And you were left wondering why the hell did she win this match. And if I see a lot of guys already trying to defend it on the internet and going like, oh, this leads to many opportunities, all these matches, and you know what, people looking good in defeat. Really? Look at the position Asuka's in now, 2 years after losing her undefeated streak to Charlotte, and never really honestly beating her afterwards. Not legitimately. Constantly losing to her. Where's that get her? Now she loses to everybody. Becky, Carmella, Alexa. Where did that get Sasha Banks? 4-time women's champion, but only won the titles on Raw and only had the reigns for a few seconds. And Charlotte beats her on the shows that matter. And we have a Rhea Ripley here. NXT women's champion. Y'all drug NXT into this Charlotte dominance crap. Just won the title. 23 years old. Just won the title. Looking like $1 million after defeating Shayna Baszler. And here we are. She's at WrestleMania. She loses to Charlotte. Loses the title to Charlotte. Who else is going to lose to this woman? Just so she can have more title reigns than her dad. And not only that, it's the way they lose. What is up with baby faces tapping out nowadays? When people say, oh, she looked good in defeat. No, Stone Cold Steve Austin looked good in defeat against Bret Hart. And mind you, he was a heel because he didn't tap out. He passed out. The man wouldn't give up, refused to give up, and passed out. I Quit match 1999 Rock Mankind. Mankind didn't quit. Rock had to record him saying the phrase from an interview to screw him over. But now, we're living in an era where heels don't cheat and baby faces tap out. I'm sorry. You want to make Rhea look good? Have her pass out. She's the nightmare. She's a machine. She won't stop. So you know what? You had to stop. You had to knock her out. You had to put her out. She had to put her to sleep. Her tapping out, where does she go from there? Just like Asuka. Where did Asuka go from there? I'm tired of the same ending all the time for Charlotte's big matches. It looked like somebody could win. It looks like somebody can win. But yet the woman who keeps winning taps them out. You combine her other reigns. You combine both her NXT championship wins. That's 12. That's ridiculous. And I'm sorry, I'll never agree with anybody who agree with this decision. It was stupid. So I'll be honest with you. The second match of the night, Aleister Black, Bobby Lashley, the most who cares match of the show. Even though I love Aleister. Who cares? Black Mass, he won. Good. And I guess they're setting up some type of stuff where, Bobby realizes Alana's not good for him. Then we had Otis and Dolph Ziggler. And, it's a regular standard match, but with a fantastic ending where Mandy Rose comes out, slaps Sonya Deville after she basically betrayed her, gave Dolph Ziggler the biggest shot in the gonads I've seen in a while in wrestling. Otis picks up the win and is an inspiration to all us big people because he scoops up the hot ass chick, kisses her, walks away. That's a good day. Like the ending of that match, it actually made me feel a little better. Now we go to Edge and Randy Orton. And it's always fun to see guys fighting all over the place. The only problem I think the match had, in my opinion, is it ran a little long. I think it could have been shorter. It definitely could have been shorter. It's nice spots, him jumping off the gated cage thingy through the table, them being on a tractor trailer truck like this is the Matrix Reloaded or something. And one of my favorite bits of storytelling, Edge really almost crying and showing him, I won't even say conflict because he knew what he had to do. It was just, it was never, it wasn't a sense of, oh, I don't want to do this, please don't. It was like he knows what he has to do and it's destroying him, but he's going to do it 100% and smacks Homeboy's head with the concerto and wins the match. I thought it was a beautifully executed moment by Edge and by Orton in that situation. So, like I said, it was a good match to me, just a little long, which meant the next match was very short. But since it was a makeshift tag team match anyway between the Street Profits and Angel Garza and Austin Theory from NXT, the random match because of Andrade's being injured, it was a fine, quick, fast-paced match. That's it. It's over. It was a little weird to me that when the Street Profits got jumped, but then it made more sense when Bianca Belair, my girl from NXT, who is also Montez Ford's woman, his wife, came in and whooped that ass in Vega. And I guess, we'll see. I may be wrong, but, I'm assuming Homegirl's going to Raw now. Which defeats what some people were saying about, oh, Charlotte can wrestle Bianca for the title. Oh, really? Really? Stupid ass victory right there. So my girl can't get a title ring, but this damn tall blonde chick can get a title ring again, right? I digress. Then the next match was the Fatal 5-Way for the SmackDown Women's title. This one was also, in my opinion, a little too long because they spent a little too much time on Tamina. She's not a beast. I'm sorry. She's not a powerhouse. She's never been believable. She's never been legit. So trying to make her look like one now was ridiculous. It was like they were trying to use her as what they would use Nia Jax for. But Nia Jax has been women's champ. She's actually had some good showings, depending on who she works with, like Asuka and Ronda Rousey, stuff like that. And Bayley as well. Tamina has not. I'm sorry. She doesn't work for me. She never did. She never will. Stop it. Then she gets eliminated, and then Naomi gets eliminated next. And then weirdly, they had Lacey Evans, Bayley and Sasha's communication started messing up, and then Sasha gets eliminated after Bayley kind of spun Lacey's fist into a position where she could punch Sasha. So, strangely enough, the last two standing were Lacey and Bayley instead of Bayley and Sasha. And it's like, it's weird to me because you can say, oh, setup, it's wrestling setup. It's like, this is WrestleMania, though. WrestleMania is not usually where you set up storylines. WrestleMania is where you end them. Or start them. But since this is not, but then this ended up not being an ender or a starter. Because, Sasha comes in, interferes, and helps Bayley win the match. And yes, you see the little bits of, will they, won't they, turn on each other type of thing. But it's like, it's just weird. That's something you do at the Rumble. It's just weird. Here comes the best part of the night. And once again, just like the Boneyard match on night one, an absolute jewel of mixing wrestling with cinematic film storytelling. John Cena, Bray Wyatt, Firefly Funhouse match. If you ever wanted to see what it would be like to see a wrestling match in the vein of David Lynch, in the vein of Cronenberg, in the vein of The Shining, an abstract horror version of a wrestling match, this is it. And it's glorious as John Cena actually heads to the ring like it's a normal match, and all of a sudden you see Bray Wyatt on a Titantron talking, and then John Cena gets transported into Bray Wyatt's world. Literally transported. Like, how the hell did he get here? And they start playing with video and start playing with the past of John Cena. His ruthless aggression moment with Kurt Angle. Then John's all of a sudden in his old outfit during that match. In playing with John Cena's different gimmicks. And now all of a sudden he's transported into the Doctor of Thugonomics and he can't talk besides just rapping. Or his days being a fan of Hulk Hogan and being trapped in a promo from the 80s, or being a fan of Hogan during the WCW era and being stuck in an NWO outfit. And all this time, Bray is playing to this. He's getting into Cena's head. He's breaking down Cena's hypocrisy. He shows up as his different versions, being the Mr. Rogers version, dressing up as Wolfpack NWO to mock Cena's love of that. Dressing up as the old Bray Wyatt, the Bray Wyatt who failed against John Cena 6 years ago at WrestleMania 30. And then finally, The Fiend standing behind John like he's Freddy Krueger, like he's Michael Myers, like he's Jason Voorhees. And he puts down Superman. Splendid. Brilliant. And to me, that is this and the Boneyard match are the best examples of wrestling needing to adapt during this time of isolation and quarantine because of the coronavirus. And just like the Boneyard match did so well in my mind for both Undertaker and AJ Styles, this does so well for the legacy of John Cena and also the character of The Fiend, of Bray Wyatt. And I definitely look at this as a match I would go back to watch over and over again. Because as a movie maker and a wrestling fan, that was great to watch. So we main event with Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar. And it's the same exact match as the Universal title match. It's literally the same. The part-time champion hits his move a million times. The younger guy keeps kicking out. Then the younger guy hits his move a million times. Puts the part-timer down. Wins the title. Now Goldberg is 50-something years old. He can't hang it anymore. And quite frankly, even in his heyday, he couldn't. Really, go back to the matches you love about Goldberg. Are they really wrestling matches? Or are they just boom, spear, jackhammer, that's it? Right? Brock was different. Brock was a thespian in that ring. Brock can still go. If Brock really wants to, he can go. So this was a very, it was great that Drew won the match. I'm happy Drew won the match. I'm sad that he couldn't win it in a show with a giant stadium and a big crowd reaction. Like, this and Otis could have used a great crowd reaction, man. But I wish it was handled in a better match because I feel like just Brock's worked with a lot of people lately who I feel like the matches should have been better than what they were because of the stupid booking. And that includes his match with Ricochet that ended in 90 seconds, or his Kofi Kingston match that ended in 10 seconds. And then this match was just same old. Finish it here, finish it here, finish it here, finish it here. This could have been a real hoss match between two giant, athletically gifted, talented as hell wrestlers. And that's sometimes how I do look at matches. That's why I couldn't really praise Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn that much last night, even though I do understand it makes sense for the story. I just know what those two are capable of. That those two are capable of a masterpiece, and it didn't happen. And here, these guys are capable of so much better, and it didn't happen. So, but overall, you put the two nights combined, even though I wasn't as big of a fan as part 2 as part 1. Overall, I would actually still say I probably enjoyed this WrestleMania more than the last few WrestleManias. The last WrestleMania I legitimately enjoyed was WrestleMania 31 before this. And this is probably the first one WrestleMania 36 as a whole, I think is the first time I legitimately enjoyed a WrestleMania since WrestleMania 31. Because yes, some of the lows. See, some of the lows aren't that awful. There's been way more awful lows, and the biggest low was to me the ending of the NXT Women's Title match, and that was technically the best match, probably regular match on the entire thing. But the highs, KO and Seth's match, the ladder match, Boneyard match, the quality of the NXT Women's Title match, um, the ending of Edge and Orton, and the greatness of the storytelling and the creativity of the Firefly Funhouse match. I think that's what makes WrestleMania 36 as a whole probably the better WrestleMania of like the past 5 years, definitely. Um, so that's it. Those are my views on WrestleMania 36 Part 2. Uh, Check out my review of Part 1 if you haven't already. And this is Chris Johnson. Have a good one.